such an enlightened boy.
And we're back with another episode of That Bones and Tubs today, coming at you on this glorious Tuesday afternoon.
I should have moved this fucking bag before we started. Now everyone's going to hear it.
Random bag noises.
I like to think the person that created plastic bags was like, what's the cheapest bag we can make that's also the loudest?
But yeah, we're back. We're here on this glorious day, and we're going to be talking about a work. It's kind of old. Some would say very old.
New to us.
I mean, the newest rendition wasn't printed until 1908, but it's come in many renditions throughout the centuries, called the Kybalion.
I feel like I should have made a noise there, but I couldn't think of one.
Yeah. Maybe a whoosh.
Yeah. Insert Italian hand gesture.
But yeah, so we're doing the Kybalion today. Should be a good one.
Should be.
Yeah.
I mean, it's only the, as of late, it's the most effective change in my life.
Yeah.
Now there's a cat in the bag.
Oh, man. Oh. There is a cat in the bag.
This is terrible. Beautiful creature.
But no, because we figured we were going to take we're going to take an enlightened break today from our normal fare of late.
We were scheduled to hit that book, and we just keep finding reasons not to.
Yeah.
I could not fucking do it.
I'm sorry, but, child sex slavery is not exactly a happy topic, so
no.
We figured we'd pick something a little bit more tamer for this episode, for you to, for our audience to look into, if they're curious about it. We're Bones and Tubs. We don't fill in all the numbers for you.
No.
You gotta think of it like one of those, what are those called? Those old things you used to do, where you draw like from one number to the next dot. Connect the dots.
Right.
God damn. But no, we kind of we'll connect the first 6 or 7 dots for you, and then you go ahead and connect the rest of the dots so you can see the full picture.
It's not fun if you don't get to do it yourself.
Exactly. You gotta do that self-work, And today we're going to talk about the Kybalion, because I think everybody out there should at least give it a gander.
Well, the crazy thing is that they say that you don't come across the Kybalion unless you're searching and you're ready for it.
I'll agree to that.
Which is pretty nuts, because I just looked at our metrics this morning.
Yeah.
We hit smashed through last month.
Hell yeah.
We kicked the door in and beat the fuck out of those numbers and then left them there, bloody and bruised.
Spit on them.
Which is awesome, because last month we had extra episodes, which I figured would pad the numbers.
Yeah.
Accidentally.
But no.
So there's a large amount of people that are ready to be introduced to the Kybalion.
Yeah. I've tried to introduce it to a few people, I would say, but who turned me on to it initially was probably Mark Passio, definitively.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is, you kind of once you've read this and once you understand it, you kind of have to put everything that you know through its lens and study it through that lens.
The crazy thing, though, is when you read the Kybalion, you're not actually reading the Kybalion.
No.
You're reading the work of 3 initiates. Mm-hmm. That will occasionally pepper you with the Kybalion quotes.
That and also that try to help you understand them.
And we're back after a brief technical difficulties. Bones and Tubs podcast.
Technical difficulties on them cables today.
Something to do with the wires and shit.
Whoa!
So I want to do a brief interlude into the Kybalion just to give them something to think about.
Yeah.
And it's one of the things. There's plenty in here that fucks me up, long dick style.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But the idea that I've, had no idea, I've known this for a long time, but I didn't know it was connected to the Kybalion. I didn't even know about the Kybalion.
Yeah.
Within the last 80 or so years, they've kind of figured out that this whole thing, everything you look at, the seat that you're sitting in right now, if you're driving in a car, every single piece of every single thing that you are able to touch or see or experience is in motion. Nothing is ever still. If anything is still, it doesn't exist.
Nothing's inert,
Right. So it's all the atoms. You take it down to the atomic level.
Yeah.
Or even the quantum level, I guess, right?
I would imagine, yeah.
So a whole nother caveat into that. Everything's made out of atoms. Everything vibrates at a different frequency, which gives it a different appearance, a different structure, different everything.
Yeah.
But it's all the same. It's made of the same thing.
Yeah.
And it's constantly in motion.
Yep.
But then you look at the atomic structure itself. The smallest thing, one of the smallest things that we can perceive, right?
Yeah.
And it looks like a solar system.
Yeah. Microcosm, macrocosm. That's one of the laws, everybody. It's called correspondence.
Yeah. Let's get into it.
But
something to think about.
Yeah.
Not only that, but every single thing you perceive is mostly empty space. You're more not here than you are here. Because what is it? Atoms are 99.99% empty.
Yeah.
What the fuck, man?
So
you see what I'm saying?
I'd say the first principle, of course, probably the most important one, and that is mentalism.
The 7 principles of truth. Now this is a direct quote from the Kybalion. The principles of truth are 7. He who knows these understandingly possesses the magic key before whose touch all the doors of the temple fly open. The Kybalion.
Yeah.
The 7 Hermetic principles upon which the entire Hermetic philosophy is based are as follows. 1. The principle of mentalism.
2. The principle of correspondence.
3. The principle of vibration.
4. The principle of polarity.
5. The principle of rhythm.
6. The principle of cause and effect.
7. The principle of gender.
Boom.
Kaboom.
Boom.
So,
Those are them principles.
gonna jump up in them.
Yeah, let's do it. So, the first principle, mentalism.
Yeah.
Gee, I wonder what that means.
What does it mean?
Put it simply, as they put it, is all is mind. Which, for all you don't may not understand that,
I sure didn't. I read it.
Yeah.
I read it twice before I fucking was like, "What?"
everything that is was preceded by that in the mental.
Yeah.
So, imagine in your head. Let's keep this simple. Say
Kiss method.
you're in your backyard
Yeah. Okay. I'm there.
and you think, you know what would look really nice back here? A picnic table.
Yeah. I was gonna go with a pergola, but I understand.
It started there. It started in the mind.
Mind thought.
It was created in the mind before it ever reached the material.
Yeah.
But that's the key to mentalism. Is it started in your mind? You thought, I need a picnic table, and then you get a picnic table or build one.
Yeah.
Thus, you have
A picnic table.
what started in the mind manifests itself in the material.
Not only that, but the idea of a picnic table itself. Somebody at some point created that in their brain and manifested it.
Yeah.
For the rest of us to be like,
I want to buy one of them for my backyard.
Yeah.
Because all that shit I thought and shit.
So you could have delicious picnics.
barbecues.
Yeah. See?
You know? Or sit out there at 3 a.m. staring at the sky.
Because, if we were animals, we would simply just sit on the ground and eat our food.
Right.
But we're not.
No, we're not.
Someone thought they were sitting on the ground, and then someone's like,
See, but here's the thing, though, too, and this is just a bones to tubs conversation about a previous conversation that might lead you down a similar rabbit hole. But the video I told you about earlier, the 7 heavens,
yeah.
they assert that we all were animals at one time.
Yeah.
Anyway, and we're back.
Okay. So, do you want to give us that second principle?
Now, the first time I read it, I just read through, like we just talked about, with the all is mind, right? And that just led me to believe that everything, like we just said, everything that you see first was created in the mind.
Yeah.
But the all is like in all caps, and I didn't notice. I mean, I picked up on it, but I didn't notice it until the second go around that I read this. When they reference the all in all capitals, they're talking about the creator.
Yeah.
And it's not like, some dry, airy,
Let's use a Mason reference here.
church god.
The architect.
Yeah.
That's what I like to think of it as.
Everything in the universe, the entirety of the everything, right? As far out as you can go, is just a thought
Yeah.
or a
Not-
thought experiment of the creator.
Not a THOT thought.
No. He's not up there shaking. Kiki, do you love me? Getting hit by a car.
The key to life is the thought.
The key, not the kiki thought.
Yeah.
But so we're all just a thought experiment, and then it goes into like some of the more watered down airy stuff where, like you look at the Bible, for example, because that's what I was raised into. I don't know about you, so much.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kinda.
Yeah.
But they say that we were created in the image of God, right? You take it out a little bit further into the New Age or the New Cage religion,
Yeah.
where it's like we are gods. That's kind of fucked up to think about because, like they say in the Kybalion, that's like if you right now perform a thought experiment while you're driving your car listening to the Bones and Tubs podcast, and you think of a red barn. Yeah. You created the red barn. It's there. It's real. And then you have somebody walk out of it,
Yeah.
and say some things. You created a person. Let's say his name's Steve. To say that Steve is you, dear listener, would be incorrect. But he is of you.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
Well, and you gotta think like this with the New Cage stuff. Yeah, they can say we're gods, but even if that's true, we're lower case gods. with a little g.
Little g.
Little baby tiny.
Right.
Like, imagine like OD in normal letters, but then a tiny little G that's like you know, you got it. You got it in 12 point, and the little G is in like, I don't know, 4.
Right. Yeah. Now, I mean,
like we're gods of our own microcosm,
and the all is all.
Yeah.
I mean, every single thing that you could think of, if you were able to somehow wrap your finite mind around the infinite, which is what the all is.
Yeah.
The all is everything that ever was or ever will be. It is the same now, yesterday, and tomorrow.
And I love how, you know what I love about the Kybalion? You know what I love, and I love the way they explained is they even emphasize the fact, they're like, don't try to glean the reason.
No.
Don't try to understand it.
Nope.
It's beyond anything you can ever fathom.
Your finite mind cannot even begin to touch on the infinite.
So, like, when people ask the question, why do good things happen to bad people? Or, wait, why do bad things happen to good people?
Yeah.
That's one of those things I reference. It's not up to you. You know what I mean? Like,
right. It's just law unobserved. Pascal explains that in a great way. To talk about the bad karma or aspect, right? So you look at like Joyce P. Grandma that lives down the street, right?
Yeah.
Just a beautiful human being. Mm-hmm. You know, she's a widower.
Yeah.
She took care of her 16 children.
Yeah.
And her husband until he died of a ass cancer. I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, here we are. You know, she did nothing wrong her entire life. She was pious, pure. She could quote you the Bible. Mm-hmm. She always gave pie to her neighbors. Mm-hmm. But then somebody breaks into her fucking house because we're in the middle of an opiate epidemic, and they fucking give her a heart attack.
Yeah.
You know? Pascal talks about the collective.
Yeah.
All of humanity's collective activities draw upon it collective karma.
Mm-hmm.
While you do also have personal karma,
yeah,
you also have to experience, and that comes into later laws.
As I say,
polarity.
Personal karma, polarity, and cause and effect
right.
are laws that deal with that. You're talking about a macrocosm karma.
Right.
Right.
And it's like Pascal talks about speaking at the MUFON, the UFO disclosure group. Mm-hmm. And like free energy also, he speaks at these engagements, and they both think like, well, what? Everything's going to get better once we have disclosure. Everything's going to get better once we have free energy. And he's like, listen, you'll never have those things as long as you live in a world where slavery exists. You know, and he's not even talking about like old school slavery. He's talking about what you and I lived through. Yeah. You, dear listeners, lived through.
Yeah.
Tax slaves.
So that is I feel like that was a good explanation of the all.
Yeah.
I think if you get an understanding, like I said, we don't try to like give you everything. We want you to go out there and read the Kybalion. Listen, it's public domain. Take advantage. It's free. Mm-hmm. You don't have to pay a dime.
It's free.
If you have the internet, you have it already.
Yeah. I'll actually go ahead right now and post it. Project Gutenberg. For those of you that don't want to go for whatever reason to the Bones and Tubs Facebook page, which is just facebook.com/Bones and Tubs.
Get on it.
I'll go ahead and post it on there. But if you don't want to go there, just go to Google, type in Project Gutenberg, click that motherfucker.
Yeah.
And then go to the search tab, type in the Kybalion, and then click the load HTML, and you've got the Kybalion for your reading. These cats, though, they're just...
Man, I can't wait till it cools down.
They're just catting around. Yeah, we're coming to you live from Tubbs' dining room.
Maybe next week I'll put the stuff in there. So that's the first principle.
Yeah.
The next principle.
Principle number 2, the principle of correspondence. And then the quote from the Kybalion, as above, so below. As below, so above. And this principle basically embodies, you know, you could look at any aspect of creation, right? Mm-hmm. Every single thing on different levels mirrors itself.
Yeah. And
the same that's true below is the same that's true above.
And this, to me, is possibly the second most important law.
What's the quote from the Kybalion about the guardian angel? Here we go. They say that, so the knowledge of the principle of correspondence enables man to reason intelligently from known to unknown. Studying the monad, he understands the archangel.
So, and I believe this is the second most important law for this reason. One, it's a kind of a catch-all for the rest of the laws. Because here's the thing. How are they able to understand motion? How are they able to understand the ether, which in modern terms would be considered dark matter, before either of them existed? And like we were able to perceive them or understand them or use scientific instruments to understand them on the material plane? Mm-hmm. Because, good listeners, they existed on the mental plane. Right. And because of the law of correspondence, they must exist on the others.
Oh my God.
Everything exists in one form or another on every plane.
Yeah. Dropping those.
So it's like I said, it's a catch-all.
Dropping those thought bombs.
So basically, that means they understood that the mind was constantly moving,
Yeah.
which meant that things in the material were constantly moving too.
It's also a spoiler alert, to show that this is occulted information or hidden. Freemasons, the Washington Monument, when lined up with the reflecting pool,
Yeah.
the famous picture that everybody sees, as above, so below.
Yeah.
Or any time like the Bohemian Grove, where the photograph was taken of the cremation of care, you could see it reflected in the pond. And that's it's a flag to those that can hear, right?
Yeah.
They're showing you, as above, so below. The Kybalion principle. The people that are the rulers of our existence, or the perceived rulers, because authority is an illusion, but they use this, and they're kind of just showing you, as above, so below.
But yeah, so and when they mean correspondence, I guess we should talk about the 3 planes.
Yes.
So, of course, you have the physical plane. That is everything that you see and understand with your eyes.
Yeah, or your physical senses.
Yeah, your physical senses. The next plane is the mental. It's the mental plane. Nikola Tesla and Wilhelm Reich both talked about the mental plane and being actually scientific.
It was pretty famous.
It was in existence.
And up until that time period, and then it just kind of disappeared.
Well, now they consider it like parapsychology, or it's paranormal.
Wikipedia
basically.
just shits on it.
Yeah, and then finally, this is another reason I just love the Kybalion, because they don't try to glean answers; they simply state.
Yeah,
and that's the spiritual plane.
Mm-hmm.
They don't try to glean what the spiritual plane is, because that's something we really can't perceive yet.
Right. Well, not in this incarnation.
We don't understand it yet,
or this present modality of
but
experience.
The law of correspondence itself proves its existence.
Right.
So it exists, even if we can't gauge it scientifically.
I should post that video too. What's the guy's name? He's dead now. Scientist, Flatland.
Oh, Carl Sagan.
Yeah, I should post the Carl Sagan Flatland video, because that kind of get me set on the road.
But yeah, so correspondence, meaning that if it exists on one plane, it exists on the other.
Corresponds with the others.
Yes.
Therefore, you can understand it.
Micro and macro.
Man, boom. The third principle is the principle of vibration. From the Kybalion, nothing rests. Everything moves. Everything vibrates. And this is, to think about this, right? It's fucking crazy. Like we already mentioned that, we just discovered this within the last 80 years,
Yeah.
in the most advanced civilization of humanity. This fucking cat, man.
We have a cat attack.
I just thought I'd stick my fur by the candle. Kaboom.
Hot pussy.
Yeah. It's all about the pussy.
It's a great time to mention Meow All Day.
Yeah, meowallday.com. Go there for your cat needs.
They're all about the pussy.
They're American owned and run.
Yeah.
Chinese supplied. But they did find an American supplier.
Oh, that's good.
So we're bringing it back to this fake country that we live in.
Yeah, good.
The fake borders and what have you.
Yeah, whatever.
Patriotism.
Oh.
Anyway. But it's crazy to me that, we just kind of stumbled upon this and they act like it's the most advanced thing 80 years ago, that everything, oh my God, everything's in motion. Well, these motherfuckers, man, the Kybalion, I don't know if we talked about this already. I don't think we did. But it comes from Hermes Trismegistus.
Yeah.
Who was, his life story is basically lost to the annals of time because it's been so long.
Yeah.
But he has references in the oldest text that we have, right? He was well on his way. He was an older gentleman in the earliest days of our history.
Yeah.
He was well established in Egypt. We should have gone over there.
In Greece.
In Greece. Yeah, when he died, they deified him. Mm-hmm. He was either Thoth
or Hermes.
Scribe of the gods, or a god of knowledge himself. But these guys, just to kind of date this, it's old.
Yeah.
It might be the oldest thing in this version of humanity's incarnation.
One of the oldest things that's extant. Like, it still exists. Something that came from...
And people would just travel from all over the earth to go, learn from him in Egypt or Kemet, the Black Land. We've got to hit Hermes at one point, go through his history, because I've already made the title.
Yeah.
The title is The Kybalion, The Real Law of Attraction, and Hermes Trismegistus.
Copy.
So, hold on.
But yeah, so the fact that they were able to, one, say, okay, so everything vibrates on the mental plane, therefore, because of correspondence, it vibrates on the material as well.
And if you go with the empire's history that we've all learned and had to pass tests on, you would lead one to understand that we are the most advanced humans that have ever been here.
Yeah.
When clearly that's not the case.
Yeah.
We might just now be coming out of our own dark age into a new renaissance or age of enlightenment.
Woo!
Only because the people that wrote the Kybalion, the people that were the initiates of Hermes' teachings, they refused to have the Kybalion be crystallized into a belief pattern because they saw the writing on the wall. They saw the religious persecution. Constantine.
That's why they've never been the types. They don't proselytize.
Right.
You have to come to the knowledge.
They say that
knowledge doesn't come to you.
Instead of having it given out freely, like the Bible, from King James, instead of having a written down version of this knowledge, they just passed it from lip to ear.
Yeah.
And it goes to
who wanted to hear it for real.
Who was ready to hear it.
Here's the thing. We're probably talking to people right now listening to the show. Like, man, what the fuck are these guys talking about today? Because you didn't want to hear it.
Right.
But I'm hoping some of you out there, get it and are like,
well,
okay, I got to look into this.
Clearly, there are people here that are that have been, because I've had this happen to me. This is exactly where I was at when I heard about the Kybalion. I was questioning the nature of my reality. Yeah. Right. What it all meant, how it all functioned. And then the Kybalion fell in my lap. So that's what we're doing. Yeah. We're doing the great work.
Great work. So the other thing about vibration that I liked is they're talking about, so this is when it gets into the notion that when you've learned these laws, you can learn that the laws necessarily can't be broken.
No, they can't be broken.
But they can be bent.
Well, they can be overpowered by a higher law.
So with vibration, when they infer on the mental plane vibration, it's talking about emotional state is a big part of your vibration, and they begin to talk about the notion of mental transmutation, which is the belief that you can change your vibration. I.e., if you're mad, you can bring yourself into a state of serenity. Yeah, through by forcibly changing your vibration, which I find to be. It's definitely in line with my ideology because, Stoicism and the 7 laws go hand in hand. Mm-hmm. They came up together. Yeah. Stoicism was a reaction to the 7 laws because it's all about living inside the 7 laws.
Yeah. But just that, I think this also mirrors the other law about the all, or the fact of the all. Because if this is all mental, if all of this, every bit of this experience that we're living through right now, even the fact that we're just sitting here recording this conversation through thought-created microphones, thought-created technology to put this out into the air for people to download on their phones. That's fucking heavy.
All the things involved with it at one point in time started in the mind.
Right, but even the physical existence of them, because they're all in motion, they're all part of the thought of the all.
Right?
I don't know.
Complex.
Heavy stuff.
The next law is the principle of polarity.
Yes.
Understanding that everything exists in its opposites.
And everything is the same.
Yes. So in this sense, love and hate are the same thing. They're merely polar opposites of each other on the same scale. Think of it like that. Think of it like a scale. You know what I mean? You have one side and you have the other. If one side's full, then you say one side's hate, one side's love. They're all part of the same scale. They're all part of the same instrument, right? Mm-hmm. Just merely opposites of each other.
Right. The best example I've heard, I believe, was once again Passio, the modern day master. Mm-hmm. He talks about your thermostat. He's like, where on your thermostat, where's the setting between hot and cold? Where do those two things change? Yeah. They don't change.
They're always the same.
You have a presence of energy and a lack of energy. Yeah. And they're exactly the same thing, but they are just polar. Yeah. It's a polar shift. Yeah. And that deals, is this where we should get into alchemy? Mm-hmm. So alchemy, this goes back into Hermes, once again, because Hermes was the creator of astrology, chemistry. Well, no, chemistry is alchemy, right?
Yeah. Physics.
So.
And mathematics.
So Hermes, was the creator of alchemy, astrology, and psychology. That's where all the modern day sciences came from. Except the difference is they changed and took out all the spiritual or extra dimensional aspects.
The mental stuff and the spiritual. They rest solely
on the physical plane. Yeah, and they act like the rest is just foo-foo bullshit. Yeah. But, alchemy, if everybody hasn't already read, and I wish we could do this in a shop, right? I wish we could do where we sell The Alchemist. Yeah. And we would sign it. We didn't write the motherfucker, but we're the ones that told you about it.
Hey, it's a good ass book. Here, I put my name
Check
in
it out. I wrote it on. I graffitied your book.
Why does it say Bones and Tubbs? They didn't write that shit.
I hate these bitches. Yeah. But anyway, the fictional story of The Alchemist not even the Paulo Coelho version, but just the alchemist story in itself, is the fact that you could, through some study, you could understand how to transmute metals from lead or an overly abundant, basically useless metal into gold, the highly coveted. But it's a metaphor. You know, it's a thought practice. You could take any human emotion and transfer it through the law of correspondence and all the other laws into gold.
Yeah.
You could take base,
yeah,
bestial thinking and turn it into
divinity. Yeah, occultists love metaphors. That's one thing you got to get used to when you start getting into this kind of work, is that nothing is ever, or it's a sigil for a corresponding element.
Yeah.
Right. That's the thing, because they play the correspondence. Like if you look at any of the stuff with Masons and their symbology, it's always a metaphor.
Oh yeah.
And it always corresponds with something on another plane.
Oh yeah.
There you
I
go.
was just having this conversation the other day with somebody who asked me about my ring at work, and they're like, "Oh, you Mason? You Freemason?" No, I mean yes, but that's not the reason why I wear it.
You should just tell them you're a Manly P. Hall Mason.
Right. I'm only, and for anybody that wants the particulars, because you're somehow obsessed, I went through the first degree.
Yeah.
And I decided that I want to do the esoteric Freemasonry.
Yeah.
I want to know what I'm doing before I commit to it.
Yeah.
So once I've learned more, I'm going back
Yeah.
to get the other 2 degrees.
I'm probably going to as well.
Right. But
That's why I wear Ouroboros.
they've changed it, right?
Yeah.
And I was telling him, I was like, and I like your reference, the Manly P. Hall Mason.
Yeah.
But we've lost so much with the whole thing of Freemasonry. A lot of it today is just a boys' club. People join it because they know that most likely people of power in their organization are Masons.
And they'll make connections.
They want a leg up. So it's a boys' club.
Yeah, which Manly P. Hall warned about that.
Right.
He warned, he considered Masons in his time torchbearers of the light.
Yeah, they're the ones that were supposed to. And then, like Thomas Jefferson, as an example, right?
Yeah.
He's not an admitted Mason. But if you go to his house, one of his houses, like I just told you before when I went on vacation, I went to Monticello, you can tell a Mason or someone who has been hip to the Kybalion and the laws by the fruits that they bear.
Yeah.
And I think that's the difference between today and back then.
Yeah.
Because now it's a boys' club.
Well, yeah, and the thing is, like, so...
The boys.
Just to give you an idea here, he considered them the torchbearers of the light, right?
Right.
And when I say the light, the Kybalion is kind of what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. At least in part.
Yeah.
The light.
Well, I mean, that's the truest knowledge.
It's the truest knowledge that we've passed through generations and generations, and different organizations have been the bearers of that light.
Yeah, the oral history, the lip to ear, come on.
Exactly. And it's changed hands so many times.
Right.
Because, like, here's the thing. We live in a time now, I think this is the time for the Renaissance to happen, because this is a time where you can study these things and not be persecuted for it.
Right.
Because remember, there's a time when knowledge like this...
And that's why it was occulted.
Yeah, was, like, considered witchcraft and then get your ass killed.
Yeah, they'll fucking stake your ass, pike your ass, or put you on a cross.
Yeah.
But we were talking about the ring, right, which is just a simple pyramid with an all-seeing eye in it.
Yeah.
And light. And I said, well, just for example, people of a base consciousness would think I'm wearing this ring for some other purpose, for personal advancement.
No.
But it's a reminder to me that in order to achieve what I want, to achieve the generative principle through gnosis, I have to maintain a constant vigil on my thoughts, emotions, and actions, the 3 sides of the pyramid.
That's why I rock the Ouroboros.
Ouroboros.
Eternity.
Yes.
That's my sigil.
Knowledge.
Yeah.
Power.
Wisdom.
Sex. I don't know. Sorry.
Beauty and severity.
Right. And then we started talking about the symbols, and I was like, well, I've taken an oath, but I was never told not to say this. And I didn't learn it from them. I learned it from Google.
Yeah.
Mark Passia one time.
Yeah.
But the Freemasonic symbol of the compass and square with the G in the middle, right? Mm-hmm. The most prolific symbol of that organization. You have the square on the bottom, and everybody that knows... Fuck you, cat. Cat, though. The square is the unchanging tool.
Yeah.
It's rigid. It can't be molded or moved. Mm-hmm. Above it, they have the compass, which is made for movement. It's flexible.
Would it be we're talking about the 2 pillars then, right?
Well, I'm just talking about the symbol itself.
Yeah.
But to say, like, the symbol starts at the bottom of the compass. Middle is the G. Top is the compass.
Yeah.
So you start as a rigid, unmoving beast, basically.
Yeah.
which is what they refer to the checkerboard floor. Everybody, humans,
Yeah.
general society, the uninitiated. And then through G, you gain, right? And the G, and I was explaining to him, I was like, most of these people that you ask that you see walking around here rocking the Freemason ring will probably tell you the G stands for God, or it stands for, the grand geometer, the creator, which is the same thing. But the later, like the more enlightened Masons, the ones that go on to actually learn what Freemasonry was all about, they'll tell you that the G stands for the generative principle.
The golden ratio.
Right. Well, the thing, the emotion, the care, right?
Yeah.
Care is the driving force. Whatever you care about, you create.
It's the middle pillar. It's the
Capital G care.
It's using both pillars.
Right. It's being fully enlightened and realizing the same thing that we're telling you with these laws. But once again, we've autistically jumped off into another topic. But
it's okay.
That's why you're here.
So I say we get to the next principle.
Okay.
That's the principle of rhythm.
Rhythm.
Understanding that it's pendulous. Life is pendulous. Everything that corresponds is pendulous and moves and has movements, right? From one pole to another, in fact. Ooh, we brought back to another law, polarity.
The number 5, principle of rhythm. Quote from the Kybalion. Everything flows out and in. Everything has its tides. All things rise and fall. The pendulum swings, manifest in everything. The measure of the swing to the right is the measure of the swing to the left. Rhythm compensates. The Kybalion. And that's another part of the mental alchemy.
Yeah.
If you learn how to identify the polar swings, we talked about it before with the factor of sadness. You have the pendulum that swings one way, which is ultra liberal, and then it always swings back, ultra conservative. And each of them are their own hell, right?
Yeah.
Or to use a personal example that I really like about the modern day alchemists or the people that use these laws, everybody has this personal belief that, well, there's good times and bad times. You have to have the bad to appreciate the good.
Yeah.
But the alchemists of the modern day that realize you can transmute mental states, instead of having bad as your right pendulum swing and left being your good pendulum swing, you just stop at good and you work your way to ecstatic.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. You change your rhythm.
Change your own rhythm. Change your own pendulum.
Pull yourself out of rhythm.
Change your vibration. We're getting into later laws again, but what you put out, you get back.
Yeah.
What you vibrate, the universe doesn't see as good or bad. It sees that's what that being wants, so I must give it more of that thing.
Yeah.
Heavy. Oh my God.
But yeah, so which brings us to principle number 6. The principle of cause and effect.
Which is super popular nowadays with the New Cage religion.
Yeah.
In a bastardized form.
Yeah, they really dig into the karma thing. The understanding that karma isn't just one. It's not. Well, it's a force of nature.
I say,
you know what I mean?
I say the bastardized version because that's like when you go to Walmart and you see The Secret.
Yeah.
The Secret, the law of attraction. If I just don't pay attention to the bad things, and I only pay attention to the good things will happen.
Because that's cause and effect.
That's actually slavery.
Yeah.
Because you don't. Anyway, sorry. Continue. I'm about to observe the law of urination.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, so basically with cause and effect, the notion is that for every cause, there is an effect, and for every effect, there is a cause. Everything can be calculated with using the laws.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
One of my favorite quotes from the Kybalion is, there is no such thing as coincidence.
Coincidence is just law unobserved.
There you go. That's the way you gotta think of it. Everything that happens, there's a series of events that led to it. And there's so many variables that we can't even begin to understand them. This goes back to the notion that the all is something we can't begin to comprehend.
Can't physically comprehend the fourth dimension as a third dimensional being.
But understand that all of it resides within law. All of it, none of it's outside of law.
No. But you know that to unbastardize the version of law of attraction that I'm sure most of you have heard about, the New Age ideal is that you will only vibrate positivity. You will not pay attention to negativity, and thus only positive things will happen to you, which is horseshit.
And impossible.
Yeah. But if you learn the law of polarity, you learn these laws, and then you can actually begin creating exactly what you consciously desire.
Yeah.
The Kybalion.
But understand, willpower still needs to exist.
Right.
Things just don't happen.
No, you have to actually physically do it.
Yeah. You have to manifesting will.
But nothing is impossible.
Yeah. Manifesting will. Well, no. Will is the manifestation of the mental into the physical.
Mm-hmm.
So understand that something that you want and desire only really manifests in the physical when willpower has been exerted.
Right.
It's the proverbial cosmic lubricant
Yeah.
that allows something to transition from the mental to the physical.
I'm going to pull out of the Kybalion here. Mm-hmm. But it once again touches on the movers and shakers of our society, the ones that are #winning. It says, the Hermeticists understand the art and methods of rising above the ordinary plane of cause and effect. To a certain degree, and by mentally rising to a higher plane, they become causers instead of effects. The masses of people are carried along, obedient to environment. The wills and desires of others stronger than themselves, heredity, suggestion, and the other outward causes, moving them about like pawns on a chessboard of life, which touches upon the fact that in every single Masonic photograph that you'll find about a tracing board or in a lodge, you always see the black and white checkerboard floor. And that's to say that you've stepped above the plane of the pawn.
Yeah.
You are now a causer.
Yeah.
Which I thought was awesome.
Yes.
But the masters rising to the plane above dominate their moods, characters, qualities, and powers, as well as the environment surrounding them, and become movers instead of pawns. They help to play the game of life instead of being played and moved about by the wills of others and the environment. They use the principles instead of being its tools. The masters obey the causation of the higher planes, but they help to rule on their own plane. In this statement there is condensed a wealth of Hermetic knowledge. Let him read who can.
Yes. Big dog.
You want me to hit on number 7?
Yeah, let's get number 7 in there.
The final principle within the Kybalion is the principle of gender. And I'm going to read heavily from this one because they say it better than I ever could. You know what I mean? Come on.
Yeah.
The quote from the Kybalion: gender is in everything. Everything has its masculine and feminine principles. Gender manifests on all planes. The Kybalion. And they say, the principle embodies the truth. This principle embodies the truth, that there is gender manifested in everything, the masculine and feminine principles ever at work. This is true not only of the physical plane, but of the mental plane, even the spiritual planes. On the physical plane, this principle manifests as sex. On higher planes, it takes higher forms, but the principle is ever the same. No creation, physical, mental, or spiritual, is possible without this principle.
So, sorry. Keep going.
An understanding of its laws will throw light on many a subject that has perplexed the minds of men. The principle of gender works ever in the direction of generation, regeneration, and creation. Everything and every person contains 2 elements or principles, or this great principle, within it him or her. Every male thing has its female element also. Every female contains also the male principle. If you would understand the philosophy of mental and spiritual creation, generation and regeneration, you must understand this study as a Hermetic principle. It contains the solution of many mysteries of life. We caution you that this principle has no reference to the many base, pernicious, and degrading lustful theories, teachings and practices which are taught under fanciful titles, and which are a prostitution of the great natural principle of gender. Such base revivals of the ancient infamous forms of phallicism tend to ruin mind, body, and soul, and the Hermetic philosophy has ever sounded a warning note against these degraded teachings, which tended towards lust, licentiousness, and perversion of nature's principles. If you seek such teachings, you must go elsewhere for them. Hermeticism contains nothing for you along these lines. To the pure, all things are pure. To the base, all things are base.
So,
fuck you, CNN.
Basically, for something to pass... Okay, so this adds to the notion of something going from mental to physical, right?
Yeah.
Before the will has even been exerted, a marriage of... Let's break it down. The marriage of your left brain and your right brain.
Feminine and masculine.
Create.
Yes. Creative, physical force.
Just like in the physical plane, a male and female creates. Right? So, through willpower of that marriage, that joining of your 2 hemispheres.
Yeah.
Create something.
Creative and force.
Yes.
Baby is born.
Yes. There you go.
Yes.
Yes.
Now, I like that last part, though, because when I read that, that basically shot down all the bullshit that we've been arguing against in our entire podcast career.
What's that like?
The idea of the base. You know, how the base are polluting society with this prostituted idea that all is gender.
Yeah.
When clearly we can all look at it and see it for what it is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I love the principle of gender.
I do, too.
Because it also, this kind of puts a hit out on anybody. When we talked before about how I didn't think that a lot of things that they call toxic masculinity is actually toxic masculinity, but there is such a thing, right?
Yeah.
And relying on just anybody thinking I only have a masculine ideology.
I am only a man.
I'm only a man. No, you have both sides of you in you.
I cannot be creative. I must only force.
Yeah.
It's silly.
Silly.
Chapter 3, now that we've touched upon all the principles of Hermeticism and the laws that cannot be changed but can only be overpowered by higher laws, we stumble upon mental transmutation. And a quote from the Kybalion. Mind, as well as metals and elements, may be transmuted from state to state, degree to degree, condition to condition, pole to pole, vibration to vibration. True hermetic transmutation is a mental art. And that talks, like we were talking earlier, about the allegory of the story of the alchemist, you know, learning to change lead into gold.
Yeah.
You know, and in the story from Paulo Coelho, the one that only wants to do this for a financial purpose on the physical plane never attains his goal, but the one who only goes at it from the higher plane realizes that it's a metaphor.
Yeah.
And then gets everything that he wants.
Boom.
So powerful.
Boom.
Paulo Coelho power.
Yeah. Go read The Alchemist, too.
So
it's
good.
a great book.
We should, I mean, if you want us to sign it, you'll send it to us once we get a P.O. box, and we'll bastardize it with our podcast name.
Yeah, there you go. The last thing I want to hit on is the fabled Emerald Tablet.
Yeah.
Well, no, we wanted to talk about Hermes Trismegistus, too, didn't we?
Yeah, that's part of it. That's the last topic, though.
Okay. So, the Emerald Tablet. Many great thinkers in history have tried to glean what the Emerald Tablet entails or what it says. But the only thing we know about it is from Hermes Trismegistus. He said all the wisdom of existence could be placed on the face of an emerald. Thus the name, the Emerald Tablet. So basically what he's saying is it's so simple that it requires but an emerald to place it on.
Yes.
No more. So then it may lead you to wonder, what could that be? And that's what it's the proverbial philosopher's stone. And I think that's where the base idea of, metaphorically speaking, what the term the philosopher's stone actually came from.
I was going to ask if they were the same.
I think they are.
Because they talk about, in the fictional story of the alchemist, being able to take a sliver from the philosopher's stone and you would throw it into a pot with lead and it would turn into gold.
Yeah. So the Emerald Tablet is the philosopher's stone. It's the notion that, like, the truth is simple, but it's
so simple that it can be written on the face of an emerald.
Yet no one has been able to glean what it says.
Well,
they've tried, and basically what came out of that is the 7 laws.
Right, but like I told you the other day when we were talking the Office of Counting in the Factory of Sadness, I wonder if it's not so simple as to just realize that the universe is mental. And that through that, thoughts create your reality. So if you only hit that with a laser beam focus, you've read the Emerald Tablet.
It's the simplified equation for existence, right?
Yeah.
So couldn't you? My theory is if this could fit on an emerald, is that to break it down, it would be the all is all.
Yeah. So to say that the all is the universe, the all is you, the all is your thoughts, the all is your experience. So if you are the all, or part of the all, and you use your thoughts, which is part of the all, you can create anything that you can conceive.
Yes.
Which is a better version of what I just said.
Now, that's not to say that's what it is, but I think that's what most of it is getting at.
That's what my finite mind can reach around.
Yeah. As far as I could comprehend.
Yeah.
But I think the last thing we want to talk about was, before the end of the show, was we actually wanted to talk about the dude himself.
Hermes.
That Hermes Trismegistus, the Hermes thrice honored. This mystery man who came up with all this, who ended up becoming basically a god on two different countries. because of his teachings.
Several countries fight over his birthplace.
Yeah. The
Let me find it.
proverbial god of wisdom, who actually probably existed, hopefully.
Oh, I'm sure.
So basically, he was both the Greek god Hermes, and the Egyptian god Thoth, which they're both, Hermes is the transferer. In the Greek, he's the messenger god.
Yeah.
So he brought the wisdom
Scribe of the gods.
He brought the wisdom of the gods to people.
Yes.
Right. And then you have the Egyptian god Thoth, who is the Egyptian god of wisdom. So that's pretty much like
Polarity.
yeah. Right.
You
But
want
now, what were you gonna say?
smash through this first chapter?
Yeah.
Most of it, anyway. Parts of it. I'm just going to read through Chapter 1, The Hermetic Philosophy of the Kybalion, which you can find for free linked up on facebook.com/Bones and Tubs. And it starts, the lips of wisdom are closed, except to the ears of understanding, the Kybalion. From old Egypt have come the fundamental esoteric and occult teachings, which have so strongly influenced the philosophies of all races, nations, and peoples. For thousands of years, Egypt, the home of the pyramids and the Sphinx, was the birthplace of the hidden wisdom and the mystic teachings. From her secret doctrines, all nations have borrowed. India, Persia, Chaldea, Media, China, Japan, Assyria, ancient Greece, and Rome. And other ancient countries partook liberally at the feast of this knowledge, which the hierophants and masters of the land of Isis have so freely provided for those who came prepared to partake of the great store of mystic and occult lore, which the masterminds of that ancient land have gathered together. But among these great masters of ancient Egypt, there once dwelt one of whom masters hailed as the Master of Masters. This man, if man indeed he was, dwelt in Egypt in the earliest days. He was known as Hermes Trismegistus. He was the father of the occult wisdom, the founder of astrology, the discoverer of alchemy. The details of his life story are lost to history, owing to the lapse over the years, though several ancient countries disputed with each other in their claims to the honor of having furnished his birthplace, and this thousands of years ago. The date of his sojourn in Egypt, in that his last incarnation on this planet, is now not known, but it has been fixed at the early days of the oldest dynasties of Egypt, long before the days of Moses. The best authorities regard him as a contemporary of Abraham, and some of the Jewish traditions go so far as to claim that Abraham acquired a portion of his mystic knowledge from Hermes himself. As the years rolled by after his passing from the plane of life, tradition recording that he lived 300 years in the flesh, the Egyptians deified Hermes and made him one of their gods under the name Thoth. Years after, the people of ancient Greece also made him one of their many gods, calling him Hermes, the god of wisdom. The Egyptians revered his memory for many centuries, yes, tens of centuries, calling him the scribe of the gods, and bestowing upon him distinctively his ancient title, Trismegistus, which means the thrice great, the great, the greatest of the great, etc. In all the ancient lands, the name Hermes Trismegistus was revered, the name being synonymous with the fount of wisdom. So that's a basic.
So basically, this guy was a boss.
Yeah.
So much of a boss that if existed, he probably was one of the only people in actual history that became a god.
Yeah.
From a man.
And that's referenced throughout the Kybalion also. They say that men can become, in what we refer to in our lore as gods, if they master these laws or understand the Hermetic principles.
So.
Hashtag Hermes.
Yeah. I think that about wraps it up.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
So good.
We'd like to thank y'all for listening. We hope you enjoyed the show. It was a nice, laid-back, easy one compared to the last few that have been a little bit, crazy. Go out there and check out the Kybalion for yourself. It's completely free.
Buy yourself a copy on Amazon.com. If you enter Bones and Tubs, I didn't tell you this earlier, we actually secured a fucking deal with Amazon.
No, did we?
Where if you type in Bones and Tubs at checkout, you'll get nothing.
Yeah. Nice.
Sorry. But
no.
Get you a copy, physical copy, or you can read it on the onlines. At the link provided at facebook.com/Bones and Tubs.
Go and check out our Patreon.
Ooh, please.
A little $1 will start you off in that nation.
While we sit here and try to vibrate our lives out of the factory of sadness.
All y'all Instagram new followers.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Yeah. We'd like to thank y'all for listening. We'd like to thank Ryan Simpson for letting us use his music on the show. And we hope you tune in next week and have a good week.
We love you.
We really do.